Alright, look, I know you saw the title and clicked on this video, but as with almost anything that has to do with the royal family, it's not so simple. After reading a bunch of articles with different perspectives, different opinions, and interestingly pushing different narratives, this is what I've gathered about the whole Prince William bullying accusation. I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and we're talking about Prince Harry accusing Prince William of bullying. So, in the first half of the Harry and Meghan Netflix docuseries, it focuses heavily on Meghan's side of everything, her story, her interactions, and her family, while in the second half that released a few days later, that focuses much more on Harry's side of the family. There was a point during those final 3 episodes where Harry said that after the couple's plans to leave the UK hit the press, there was a meeting between Harry himself, his brother William, their father Charles, and Queen Elizabeth II at Sandringham. Without elaborating too much on actual conversations that took place there, Harry did speak about how things got heated and about his brother yelling at him. We believe that this is probably true because it is rather well known that William, a lot like his father, has a rather short temper. In the docuseries, Harry says, quote, "It was terrifying to have my brother scream and shout at me and my father say things that weren't true and my grandmother quietly sit there and take it all in." Now, I've read a few articles like I said, but some of those only include part of another statement he made during the series, literally skipping over a few things said during the docuseries, and I thought that was a pretty bad way to tell a news story, but a great way to spark up controversy. But okay, what did he say? Harry said, quote, "A story came out that day that said that part of the reason Meghan and I were leaving was because William had bullied us out. And once I got in the car, after the meeting, I was told about a joint statement that had been put out in my name and my brother's name squashing the story about him bullying us out of the family. I couldn't believe it. No one had asked me permission to put my name to a statement like that. And I rang Meghan and I told her and she burst into floods of tears because within 4 hours they were happy to lie to protect my brother, and yet for 3 years they were never willing to tell the truth to protect us." Now, he himself does not actually accuse his brother of bullying, and that is important because that is the claim made by so many of these articles. The event that Harry is referring to happened in 2020 when the 4 senior royals met at Sandringham to, quote, "talk things through." This is when that whole altercation with the yelling and everything took place. That same day, an article was published in the British publication, The Times, that suggested that William had a, quote, "bullying attitude." Then again, the same day, a statement that was issued, quote, by the royal brothers said this: "Despite clear denials, a false story ran in a UK newspaper today speculating about the relationship between the Duke of Sussex and the Duke of Cambridge." That's Harry and William. Now, this was said by a spokesperson for the Duke of Sussex and the Duke of Cambridge. "For brothers who care so deeply about the issues surrounding mental health, the use of inflammatory language in this way is offensive and potentially harmful." That is the statement which Harry was not actually aware of or consulted about. And I agree, that is incredibly messed up. There are several accusations that Harry does make about the family, and they are also incredibly messed up, and I do believe him, while also taking everything with a grain of salt. Some of those accusations include that Harry and Meghan were victims of stories being planted against them by people in Prince William's office, and that the palace was threatened by how popular the couple was with the public. The couple weren't specific about which stories were the ones that had been planted, but Harry said some other things as well about the way that the palace would plant and trade stories, and he does speak about something that I'm assuming brought him and his brother apart a bit more here as well. Harry says, quote, "There's leaking, but there's also planting of stories. So, if the comms team want to be able to remove a negative story about their principal, they will trade and give you something about someone else's principal. So, the offices end up working against each other. It's a kind of weird understanding or acceptance that happens." He then says, "William and I both saw what happened in our dad's office and we made an agreement that we would never let that happen to our office. I would far rather get destroyed in the press than play along with this game, this business of trading. To see my brother's office copy the very same thing that we promised the two of us would never do, that was heartbreaking." Harry also seems to have implicated that Charles's office leaked the story to the media that Harry and Meghan wanted to move to Canada in a story put out by The Sun in January 2020. According to Harry, the detail about the couple's willingness to leave their Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles was, quote, "the giveaway that it had been leaked." The interesting thing about this docuseries is that while specific people are mentioned, Harry and Meghan's criticism seems to focus more so on the institution of the royal family over the actual individuals involved, with Prince William being the only one who some of Harry's criticisms is aimed towards, and that seems to come from a place of disappointment. Speaking of the bitterness that had been created by everything, Harry said, quote, "I mean, the saddest part of it was this wedge created between me and my brother so that he's now on the institution's side. I understand, that's his inheritance, so to some extent it's already ingrained in him that part of his responsibility is the survivability and the continuation of this institution." Harry and Meghan cover a lot of different things in their docuseries, and I'm only talking about one part of that, so I suggest if you are interested that you go and watch and do some of your own research and come up with your own conclusions. Now, I saw one comment on another video of ours that asked me whose side I'm on, and I think that perfectly encapsulates how stupid this whole thing actually is. I'm a YouTube host. I don't care, I'm not on anyone's side. The royal family holds very little actual power now, and yet people are calling for Harry and Meghan to be charged with treason. It all just gets out of hand, and people would rather focus their energy on hating and or loving people they don't actually know than living their own lives. I'm done ranting now though.
Prince Harry has exposed a lot about the royal family in his time, and his wife Meghan Markle is absolutely no exception to this treatment. From small things like the details of their engagement to how his partner royally pissed off the Princess of Wales, here are the biggest secrets Prince Harry exposed about the royal duchess. But first, do you agree with the negative attention Meghan receives, or do you feel sorry about all the shameless flack she gets? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, and let's jump right in. First up, we have Prince William and Kate Middleton shaming Meghan. In his tell-all spare, Harry brought up the situation where William and his wife Kate reportedly humiliated the Duchess by referring to her as a diverse biracial American actress. In an interview ahead of the book's drop, Harry stated that his brother and sister-in-law were never fond of Meghan from the start. More so, Harry detailed how William and Kate never thought he'd pursue someone like Meghan, who had a very successful career as per the book. Many even insisted that the prince married above his standards. Furthermore, it was also noted that Kate didn't like the significance Meghan held to the British public from the beginning. Apparently, the Princess of Wales felt overshadowed by Meghan's personality, as she's a well-known actress and activist in Hollywood. According to reports, Kate felt insecure in her presence, and this can even supposedly be proven in Meghan and Harry's Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan. Naturally, Harry also discussed the physical brawl with his brother when they apparently fell out over Harry's marriage to Meghan. The shocking scene, which Harry explains resulted in visible injuries, is only one of many spare tales which seem to spark intense upset in the royal family. Before we jump into the next secret, leave a like on today's video to keep our channel growing strong. Just one click helps us here at Where Are They Now. Next in line is Meghan's cluelessness about Harry and William's scuffle. As we just broke down earlier, the allegedly physical beef stemmed from Meghan's then new involvement with the royals. However, it's stated that Meghan didn't actually know about this when it happened and only came to the discovery by accident. The prince alleged he and his beloved brother / arch nemesis once threw literal blows over the Duke and Duchess's marriage. This confrontation took place in 2019 inside his London home, according to the book, where Harry pens how William called Meghan difficult, rude, and abrasive. This upset Harry as he informed his brother of how he was simply parroting the press's narrative about his wife and expected more from William. Apparently, their heated exchange escalated into physical violence, where William supposedly grabbed Harry by the collar, ripping his necklace, and knocked him to the floor. He landed on the dog's bowl, which cracked under his back, the pieces cutting into him. Harry described being dazed and demanding William to leave, to which William asked Harry not to tell Meghan. Harry reluctantly kept his word and instead informed his therapist, but the Duchess eventually noticed the visible scrapes and bruises on Harry's back, forcing him to come clean. Quote, "She wasn't that surprised and wasn't all that angry, she was terribly sad." Another secret Harry dropped on us is Charles deciding that Meghan should not be invited to stay by the Queen's bedside. As for Sky News, Harry learned about the late Queen Elizabeth II's passing from BBC News. Harry depicted seeing this story on his phone after his plane landed with, "I checked the BBC webpage. My grandmother had died. My father was king. I put on a black tie, stepped off the plane into heavy drizzle." Harry claimed King Charles also told him that Meghan should not be joining their family as they grieved at the Balmoral estate where Elizabeth died. About this, the Duke wrote, "He told me I was welcome at Balmoral, but without her. He started to explain his reasons, but they didn't make any sense and it was disrespectful as well. I did not tolerate it from him. him. He said, stammering, that he simply didn't want the place to be full of people. Nobody's wife was gonna go, not even Kate, he told me. So Meghan shouldn't either. Next up is Meghan misleading Oprah viewers about her and Kate's Flower Girl spat. This was quite the secret to dish about in his memoir, and Harry held nothing back on his own wife when he said she misled viewers with her interview by attempting to pin their argument all on Kate, when in reality, Meghan also upset her royal sis-in-law by making her baby brain comment. In full, Meghan apparently told Kate she must have baby brain because of her hormones. When Oprah sat down with the self-exiles in 2021, the former Suits star accused tabloids of falsely claiming she brought Kate to tears over their Flower Girls dress argument for the Sussexes' 2018 wedding. At the time of the explosive interview, Meghan was very vague about what Kate was upset over and kept alluding that the spat was all the princess's fault, resulting in Kate making amends that Meghan said she forgave. Quote, "She owned it and apologized, brought me flowers and a note, and did what I would do if I knew I hurt someone. I've forgiven her." Meghan also admitted that the feud hurt her feelings and made her cry. As for her part, Meghan couldn't stand the thought of being publicly portrayed as the issue, explaining, "What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me." Our next Meghan secret ties into the last, and that's Harry revealing exactly what went down between the Duchess and the princess during their fight. As opposed to what Meghan stated in earlier portions of this video, her hubby's tell-all painted a somewhat different but telling version of the clash. Harry wrote how Kate was actually upset about a discussion regarding the timing of the Flower Girl dresses and the wedding rehearsal. Spare described how the then Duchess of Cambridge shot Meghan a text the week of her wedding with an issue regarding Princess Charlotte's gown, which she was meant to don while being a royal flower girl for their ceremony. According to Harry, the couture French dresses were hand-sewn according to the bridesmaids' measurements, so naturally they would have needed a few tweaks. Meghan reportedly told Kate to bring Charlotte for a quick alteration, where a tailor was awaiting to do the same for the other bridesmaids' dresses. However, as per Spare, this idea was supposedly not sufficient for Kate, who then arranged a time for her and Meghan to chit-chat. Allegedly, Kate informed Meghan that Charlotte's dress didn't fit her at all, adding that the little princess burst into tears upon trying it on. When Meghan relayed the standby alteration message to Kate again, Harry described Kate telling Meghan the dresses needed to be completely remade. This is where the baby brain remark came into play, according to the memoir, a comment supposedly made a little over a month after Kate birthed Prince Louis. While Kate eventually came around to visiting the tailor with Charlotte, Harry later penned how he discovered his bride crying on the floor that day. The following day, Kate reportedly brought flowers and a card and apologized to Meghan. According to the prince, Meghan was reprimanded for her comment and was ridiculed how she wasn't close enough to Kate to say that. In turn, Meghan caught offense from the telling off and ended up crying. Another huge piece of explosive information recently dropped was Harry's relationship with Meghan being exposed by Princess Eugenie. Meghan and Harry captured the entire world's eyes when news of the romantic involvement broke wind. And the culprit behind the leak? Princess Eugenie, according to the couple's biography, Finding Freedom. According to the writers, Eugenie let the cat out of the bag to disclose Harry and Meghan's relationship long before the spouses made it publicly official. Eugenie and Harry share a tight bond, and in the book, a specific occasion is cited where Harry and Meghan were accompanied by Eugenie and her now husband Jack at a Toronto Halloween party. Apparently, Harry received a phone call informing him that he and Meghan's relationship would be made public in the press, and that the princess and Prince Andrew's staffers at the time were the ones who leaked the secret to reporters. In our top 3 secrets exposed, we have Meghan's engagement to Harry, which reportedly caused a stir between the Duke and William. As per E! News, upon Harry informing William that he planned to propose to Meghan, his brother warned him that their relationship was moving too quickly too soon to become engaged. Harry penned how William's phrase of American actress always sounded comparable to convicted felon. Harry also detailed how William warned the couple not to marry at St. Paul's Cathedral, where their mother and father got married, nor Westminster Abbey, where he and Kate wed. In our top 2 secrets is how the couple's engagement proposal actually went down. Now, this engagement story has seen many changes over time, one being the main events that took place, and Harry was naturally the one to dish it all in their 2022 limited docuseries. The Duke and Duchess took a blast of the past to revisit the night Harry proposed, and detailed the entire night, with Harry explaining in a sit-down interview, "I wanted to do it earlier because I had to ask permission from my grandmother. I couldn't do it outside of the UK. I did pop a bottle of champagne while she was greasing the chicken, and that kinda slightly gave the game away. She was like, 'You don't drink champagne, what's the occasion?' And then in the North Garden, being overlooked by the staff flats, I got 15 of those electric candles." A video of Meghan excitedly calling her friend for the surprise played after, where she shared, "He's down on one knee and I was like, yes, we were so joyful and excited, like, ah, we're doing this." Even more, the spouses chatted about their milestone right after the announcement for their engagement went public in Kensington Palace's Sunken Gardens in November 2017. Meghan alleged in an interview with BBC's Michelle Hussein about how the engagement was rehearsed though. For this, Meghan broke down how she was told to show off her ring, a piece which features 2 diamonds from Princess Diana's collection, finalizing with, "My point is because they didn't want, we were never allowed to tell our story. That is consistent until now." And finally, our top secret is Harry's admission that the spouse's secret wedding claim was inaccurate. To be fair, this is more of a shared secret than just Harry's, and a bit older on the timeline scale. However, it's still pretty big, so let's break it down. The duo admitted in a wild interview that their low-key wedding, revealed in their explosive Oprah interview, didn't actually happen the way it was initially described. Following the couple's public marriage certificates exposing the claims as invalid, a royal spokesman clarified to publications that Meghan and Harry did their vow exchange, but it wasn't an official ceremony. A Daily Beast provided statement reads, "The couple exchanged personal vows a few days before their official/legal wedding on May 19th. This came after the former Suits star relayed in interview footage, 3 days before our wedding we got married. No one knows that. The vows that we have framed in our room are just the 2 of us in our backyard with the Archbishop of Canterbury." Harry even co-signed this with "just the 3 of us." However, the Sun was quick to dispel their claims by obtaining their marriage license from the General Register's office then, which eventually confirmed their legal wedding date to be May 19th, 2018. Taking our 10th spot is Harry's last words to the Queen. In the memoir, Harry discloses the final message he was able to utter to the former Queen prior to her passing. According to the Duke, he traveled to Balmoral as soon as he received word of the tragic news of the former Queen's withering state. However, Harry unfortunately didn't make it there on time before she died on September 8th, 2022. According to information from the US publication Page 6, Harry whispered how he hoped Elizabeth would be happy and that she would be reunited with his grandfather, Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, who passed away the year prior on April 9th. Reportedly, Harry also admitted to the late monarch that he, quote, admired her for having fulfilled her duties until the very end. This was in reference to her Platinum Jubilee attendance mere months before she passed, even though at the time she wasn't in the best health condition to partake in the festivities. Before we jump into number 9, like today's Where Are They Now video for more royal family updates. Taking our 9th spot is the royal evil stepmom. Well, not exactly, but this may as well be her brand with everything that has come out about her thus far. Another handful of secrets to be exposed by the prince regarding the royal family has to do with none other than the queen consort herself. Camilla's run-in with the pages of Harry's tell-all is a long and detailed tale, so let me break it down a little further for you. The first bombshell to drop was Harry's initial worries that Camilla would serve as his real-life evil stepmother. According to a UK publication by The Sun, Harry and his brother William were introduced to their father Charles's mistress turned wife following the death of their mother, and Harry compared the meeting to an injection. In the book, Harry writes, "This is nothing. Close your eyes and you won't even feel it," further noting that Camilla seemed bored meeting him for the first time and described it as more of a pure formality since he was not the heir. Harry then referenced her as a wicked stepmom, penning, "I remember wondering if she would be cruel to me, if she would be like all the evil stepmothers in the stories." In other spillages, Harry also disclosed in the autobiography that he and William supposedly begged Charles not to wed Camilla. The prince claimed both he and his older brother informed their father that they were open to welcoming the now queen consort into their family under the sole condition that he did not marry her, further alluding to begging Charles not to do so. Harry stated that Charles never responded to their pleas. One more thing Harry shared about Camilla through Spare was that William was apparently tormented by Charles's affair with her. As per Page 6, which originally obtained a Spanish copy of Spare, the older royal sibling harbored tremendous guilt because of their father's relationship with the other woman. Harry wrote about how his brother allegedly had suspicions about the woman, now known as Camilla, for a very long time. Quote, "It confused him, tormented him, and when those suspicions were confirmed, he felt tremendous guilt for having done nothing, said nothing sooner." Taking our 8th spot is William and Kate's encouragement of Harry's inappropriate costume. Back in the early 2000s, Harry saw a lot of backlash regarding his infamous Central European authoritative uniform costume. According to the Duke, it was William and his wife Kate who motivated him to wear it in the first place, picking the controversial outfit over the phone. This would be the same uniform that landed Harry in several feet of hot water with the press in 2005. As for Page 6 again, when Harry cited this incident in writing, he claimed that William and Kate were overcome with laughter when they found out about the costume, featuring its signature band on Harry's left arm. Harry reportedly wrote, "I phoned Willie and Kate, asked what they thought. They both howled. Worse than Willie's leotard outfit, way more ridiculous," which again was the point. Taking our 7th spot is Harry's mommy tell-all. There were a few things listed about Diana in Harry's book as well, many of them shedding light on the woman she was and how she was treated and referred to by those around her. 2 secrets in particular, which I'll be breaking down very shortly, have to do with Harry's life after her tragic passing. For one, Harry described his meeting with a woman claiming to have powers, who in turn informed him that Diana was there with him in spirit. Harry spoke about how the psychic was recommended to him by friends. The prince penned about their sit-down back in 2019, where he claimed to have felt an energy around the stranger. She would go on to tell Harry how his mother was with him, to which the Duke responded, "I know, I've felt that of late." The psychic eventually specified that she meant his mother was there with him at the moment, which reportedly made him cry. Writing about his biggest takeaway from the psychic, Harry explained how she told him, "You're living the life she couldn't. You're living the life she wanted for you." Another eye-opening secret Harry dropped in his autobiography was the moment he learned about Diana's. In Spare, Harry revealed how Charles sat on the end of his Balmoral Castle bed and told him, "My dear son, Mum has had a car accident." According to the Sun, Harry claimed his father was not affectionate to him at all, describing how he was not hugged and later felt like a politician while greeting members of the public in line with her heavily publicized passing. Taking our 6th spot is Harry's disclosure of his use of banned substances. I'm sure we all know back in the day, Harry had a pretty messy reputation for being a party guy, and in Spare, he even managed to greatly expose himself. The Duke wrote about how he dabbled in a specific illegal substance when he wasn't of age to feel different, saying how he took the banned substance during the summer of 2007 when he was only 17. Harry further explained how he occasionally took a few more down the road and over the years, noting how it wasn't an enjoyable experience for him and did not make him feel as happy as it appeared to make others. However, he did describe the fix as getting the job done, finalizing, "It did make me feel different and that was my main goal, to be different." Taking our 5th spot is Harry's claims of losing his V-card to a much older woman. The prince didn't really shy away from much in his tell-all, including his first romantic rendezvous with an older lady outside a pub. Harry went into details about the loss of his innocence while he was still in his teens, seeming to be when he just decided to risk it all for an older woman who loved macho horses. According to reports, Harry depicted how it all occurred, writing, "One of my many mistakes was letting it happen in a field, just behind a very busy pub. No doubt someone had seen us." Taking our 4th spot is the infamous flower girl dress fight. According to claims made by Harry in Spare, his wife and Duchess Meghan and his sis-in-law Kate did indeed get into their widely speculated spat regarding flower girl dresses. Therefore, the rumored fight between Meghan and Kate's wedding wasn't actually just that apparently. From a Daily Mail source, a single message is relayed stating, "In the book, Harry says there was a discussion about the timing of the wedding rehearsal and the flower girl dresses, and Kate was very upset. Meghan said that Kate must have baby brain because of her hormones. It caused a huge row because Meghan was told that she wasn't close enough to her sister-in-law to discuss her hormones, and it wasn't the way people spoke to each other within the royal family." Yet another source, this time from page 6, informed the publisher that the argument conjured itself up due to Kate wanting Charlotte's flower girl dress to be altered. Taking our 3rd spot is William's alleged physical attack. Yes, we know these brothers regularly beef, just as many of the rest of us with siblings do. However, in accordance with a The Guardian published piece, theirs was much more serious. Prince Harry revealed how William allegedly harmed him in his own home at Kensington Palace back in 2019, after William referred to Meghan as difficult, rude, and abrasive. Harry penned how William grabbed me by the collar, ripping my necklace, and knocked me to the floor. The end result was supposed visible bruises and cuts on his back, something that Meghan would later discover, according to the prince. Harry described William leaving Nottingham Cottage and later returning looking regretful to apologize. Before he left the home once more, Harry said William told him not to inform his wife of the incident. Harry responded with, "You mean that you attacked me?" which prompted William to fire back with, "I didn't attack you, Harold." Harry wrote how he disclosed the occurrence to his therapist first, but Meghan eventually found out and wasn't that surprised and wasn't all that angry. She was terribly sad. Taking our 2nd spot is Harry reportedly wiping out 25 people while serving in an Afghanistan tour. Harry claimed he took the lives of almost 30 people while he served as a helicopter pilot. From a section of The Telegraph report, Harry took down 25 fighters on his second duty tour in the country. Harry recalled in the book how he didn't consider the people whose lives he took as that, but more so as, quote, chess pieces he removed removed from the board, adding how it did not satisfy him, but it also did not embarrass him. Taking our first spot is King Charles begging for his sons to reconcile. The Duke claimed, on top of everything listed prior, that Charles pleaded for him and William to make amends. An additional article stated that one mere month following Harry and Meghan's Oprah interview, the king wanted nothing more than for his sons to make up during the April 2021 funeral for Prince Philip. The memoir detailed how Charles reportedly stood in between his sons, glancing at their flushed faces as Harry described. The prince quoted his father, reportedly saying, "Please boys, don't make my final years a misery."
Coming in at number 10, fits the mold. Alright, so I think most of us were expecting to hear about some of the ingrained biases that members of the royal family grow to have. In the first episode of the series, Prince Harry revealed that there is a temptation in royal family to marry someone who, quote, fits the mold. And I think most of us are aware of this kind of mentality for the royal family, and honestly, on a more laid-back scale, this is prevalent in most families in the world. There is an expectation to find a significant other who meets a standard that the rest of your family probably instilled in you. The only thing is that, for the royal family, breaking that mold is one, very easy to do, and two, comes with harsh backlash. Prince Harry said, quote, "I think for many people in the family, especially the men, there can be a temptation or an urge to marry someone who would fit the mold rather than someone you are perhaps destined to be with. And in my opinion, while most of us would agree that there is absolutely nothing actually wrong with Meghan, she is successful, beautiful, respectful, and seems like an incredibly lovely person, most of that has been undercut by the color of her skin, her choice of profession, and the country she comes from. It's just the truth." Prince Harry added to finish this point that, quote, "The difference between making decisions with your head or your heart, and my mum certainly made most of her decisions from her heart. I am my mother's son." And coming in at number 9, learning from the past. Talking about his parents, in episode 2 of the series, Harry revealed that both he and Meghan, who were both children of divorce, didn't want to make the same mistakes as their parents, which is something a lot of children of divorce and messy marriages can relate to. Harry said, quote, "What's most important for the two of us is to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes that perhaps our parents made. I think most kids who are the product of divorced parents have a lot in common, no matter what your background is. Being pulled from one place to another, or maybe your parents are competitive, or you're in one place longer than you want to be in. You're in another place less than you want to be. There's all sorts of pieces to that." And he is definitely not wrong. As an example, my parents are split up, and I find it a bit harder to relate to people whose parents have stayed together. You also observe your parents, and over time you can understand and learn the ways they failed their marriages, and sometimes the ways they did some things right. The fear of following in those negative footsteps is a huge relatable factor that I think probably makes Harry and Meghan's relationship stronger than some others in the family who are afraid to lean into their feelings like that. Number 8, unconscious bias. Okay, we've been pretty heavy on this list so far, but it's important because this whole thing is basically love versus duty versus hundreds of years of both conscious and unconscious biases. And the Duke spoke on this quite a bit. He said, quote, "In this family, sometimes you're part of the problem rather than part of the solution, and there is a huge level of unconscious bias. The thing with unconscious bias is that it's actually no one's fault, but once it's been pointed out or identified within yourself, you then need to make it right." Now, a lot of us who have already learned better or just knew better from the start will jump straight to a point of anger about the biases that are so prevalent in the royal family, but there is also a level of these people are incredibly sheltered and closed off. The royals are kind of in a world of their own. It's not really okay, and it's a little archaic, but it is the truth. Harry goes on to say, quote, "It's education, it's awareness, and it's a constant work in progress for everyone, including me." He then went on to talk about his past controversy when he dressed up as a member of the World War II National Socialist German Workers' Party. And you know who I'm talking about when I say that, right? Because YouTube won't actually let me say their usual name. Just want to make that clear. We know who we're talking about. Harry dressed up like this at a costume-themed party back in 2005, and he said it's, quote, "one of the biggest mistakes of my life." He added that, quote, "I felt so ashamed afterwards." And then he explained how he met with survivors and rabbis in order to educate himself on his wrongdoings. Now that's just an example of how the royal family can be out of touch with reality just a little bit. Number 7. Spies in the backyard. During the second episode of the series, Meghan revealed that paparazzi actually paid her neighbors in Toronto to spy on her. Meghan revealed that when the news broke of her relationship with Harry back in 2016, her neighbors in Toronto were paid by members of the press to plant a camera in her backyard. She said, quote, "It felt like all of the UK media descended upon Toronto. My house was just surrounded, just men sitting in their cars all the time, waiting for me to do anything." See, Meghan, being a celebrity already, has dealt with the press before, but the press surrounding the royal family, they're on a whole different level. And I'm sure the ridiculous controversy of the situation just brought it all to another level on top of that. She continued on saying, quote, "My neighbors texted me saying they're knocking on everyone's door, they're trying to find you. They had paid certain neighbors to put a live stream camera into my backyard. Suddenly, it was like everything about my life was getting so much more insular. All the curtains were pulled, all the blinds were pulled. It was scary." And that element of fear plays perfectly into this next point. Number 6. Protection? But why? A little bit later in the second episode, Prince Harry claimed that members of the royal family asked why Meghan should get special treatment and be protected when the two of them had issue with the actions of the British press, descending on her home, neighbors, and privacy. But not only that, the headlines being pumped out about the couple and Meghan specifically were not just vicious, but were also pretty damn racist. The couple referenced a Daily Mail newspaper headline from 2016 that said, and I quote here, "Harry's girl is almost, in brackets, straight out of Compton," which I could go on a 13-minute rant about that on its own. Harry said that when they brought their concerns to the family, quote, "The direction from the palace was don't say anything." He added, quote, "But what people need to understand is, as far as a lot of the family were concerned, everything that she was being put through, they had been put through as well. So, it was almost like a rite of passage." He said that some the members of the royal family were like, quote, "My wife had to go through that, so why should your girlfriend be treated any differently? Why should you get special treatment? Why should she be protected?" And as Harry correctly responded to that, quote, "The difference here is the race element. Something pretty much all the other members of the royal family cannot relate to." Number 5. Formality. Stepping away from that issue for a moment, also in episode 2, the Duchess talked about her first meeting with Harry's brother, Prince William, and his wife, Kate. Meghan revealed that the formality that we see presented to the public every day by the royal family is not just an outward show, but it even carries over behind closed doors as well, which is another example of the reality of royal life. Speaking about her meeting with Kate, Meghan said, quote, "I met her for the first time, they came over for dinner, and I remember I was in ripped jeans and I was barefoot. I was a hugger, I've always been a hugger, but I didn't realize that this is really jarring for a lot of Brits." Now, I should say, I am actually British. I was born there and I came here at a young age. All of my family is British, but hugging is not jarring for us. Like, I want to be clear, British people like a hug as much as the next person. I love hugs. What I will admit here is that there is some kind of ingrained awkwardness, and especially when dealing with the formality of a royal. A hug is probably incredibly out of place for most of them. This segment continued on with footage of Kate and William walking alongside each other with Meghan's voice saying, quote, "I started to understand very quickly that the formality on the outside carried through on the inside." Now, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for someone on the outside not accustomed to the royal life, putting on this display of royalty for the cameras and the people can probably be very exhausting. And then learning that for the rest of the family, it isn't really a display at all. That would probably be a bit disarming. Number 4. Actor. But going back to the issues that the family had with Meghan, still in episode 2, Harry explained that Meghan's career as an actress skewed the judgment of his family, meaning her choice of profession made most of his family believe that the relationship wouldn't last that long. He said, quote, "I remember my family first meeting her and being incredibly impressed. Some of them didn't quite know what to do with themselves, but then the Duke jokingly added, I think they were surprised, maybe surprised that a ginger could land such a beautiful, intelligent woman. Then he jumped back to the reality of the situation, saying, quote, "The fact that I was dating an American actress was probably what clouded their judgment more than anything else at the beginning. Oh, she's an actress, this won't last." Number 3. Rehearsed. Now this next part is something I just assumed happened, but right at the start of episode 3, Meghan spoke about the BBC engagement interview that the couple did, and she said it was a, quote, "orchestrated reality show." She explained how the interview itself was pretty much pre-planned. She said, quote, "It was rehearsed, we did the thing out with the press, then we went right inside, took the coat off, and did the interview. So it's all in that same moment." When she was asked if the couple were prepped on how the interview would play out, she continued, "Yeah, but also like, then there'll be a moment when they'll want to see the ring, so show the ring. We weren't allowed to tell our story because they didn't want it, she added. Which is the interesting part, honestly. I think a rehearsed interview could be expected at the very least. Like, if I married a royal, I would just know that that kind of thing comes with the territory. But to have to leave out the things you do want to talk about does feel wrong. That's where you can see the narrative control that was in place. Number 2, tabloid attack. Now, another side to that narrative control comes into play when we talk about negative press. Controlling what the family says is one thing, and that part is relatively understandable when dealing with what is essentially a business that thrives off public opinion. But that also comes with being able to control the news. And in the 3rd episode, the Duchess claimed that salacious stories were planted in the press in the lead up to her wedding to Harry in 2018. And it's very true that during that time, every tabloid you saw had some wild claim about Meghan and Harry. She said that, quote, "We were playing whack-a-mole every day. Every day it was like, wait, another one popped up? Wait, stop, another story. Constant." In the episode, they showed headlines like, quote, "related to serial killer," along with references to a X and Meghan went on saying, quote, "They were going through the woodwork and pulling people out to create and plant the most salacious stories that they could." I think she is talking about the press themselves, but the planting of stories part is pretty clearly talking about a play from the palace itself. And in at number 1 is a secret list. To close out this list on a more cute note, I didn't want to be so negative the whole time. Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, had a little reminiscing about early on in their relationship during episode 1 of the series, and they talked about how Harry had this not so little, quote, extensive list of things that he would be looking for in a girlfriend, and I guess eventual wife. Meghan seemed to think that this was adorable, but I mean, she passed the test, so of course she would think that. In the episode, she jokingly and kind of adorably said how, quote, he had a list apparently of what he was looking for, an extensive list, with Harry jumping on to add, "I'm not showing you the list." It was kinda cute, I'm not gonna lie. Since the first 3 episodes aired of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Netflix documentary, the couple has faced a wave of backlash over some of the claims they've made about Meghan adjusting to royal life and their struggles with the family's acceptance of Meghan in general. With the other 3 episodes out now, more is sure to come, so let's talk about some of the claims that have been disputed so far. I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and let's jump into it. Starting with even the trailer for the documentary itself, some apparent lies were already called out. Prince Harry claimed lies were told to protect his brother, Prince William, and suggested the couple, Harry and Meghan, were victims of institutional gaslighting. In response to that, Dickie Arbiter, who served Queen Elizabeth from 1988 to 2000, has debunked some of the allegations made by the couple and noted the couple are sending mixed messages saying, quote, "There are more holes in their story than a colander," which, to be lighthearted for a moment, is honestly a hilarious way of putting it. Dickie also had issue though when the Duchess of Sussex also revealed that their security was being pulled. Dickie gave a pretty good explanation, saying that was due to the couple moving to the United States and taxpayers won't pay for them to live in America, which I can't really argue with that one. That makes a lot of sense. In the documentary, Meghan also alleged that Kensington Palace advised her to not invite her niece, Ashley Hale, to her wedding. Ashley is the daughter of Meghan's half-sister Samantha Markle, who has had fallings out with the Duchess after the huge Oprah Winfrey interview that Harry and Meghan did back in March of 2021. Speaking on this claim though, a source close to the royal family told 9honey, quote, "We never gave any advice, steer, or guidance on who of her family or friends should or shouldn't come to her wedding." Another insider added, "Meghan didn't want the media to know about Ashley. No one on earth would have said don't invite family to the wedding. That's a complete and utter lie. We wanted more family there to make it look less weird for her." On the topic of this though, if you thought Piers Morgan would not be involved in this video, then you should have known better. Joining Piers on his show to discuss the first 3 episodes of the documentary was Sunday Times editor Roya Nika and her former royal correspondent Michael Cole. After Piers asked Roya for the truth about Meghan's claim, Roya replied, "That was not the account that 2 people who worked very closest with Meghan and Harry told me, both of whom had very specific recollections of that conversation with Meghan. The editor told Piers that it was Meghan who told the palace she didn't want her niece to attend the wedding to avoid exposing her to media scrutiny." At another point, the Duchess of Sussex claimed that she received no training when entering into the royal family. She compared it to the Princess Diaries, saying, quote, "Joining this family, I knew that that there was a protocol for how things were done. And do you remember that old movie The Princess Diaries with Anne Hathaway? There's no class and some person who goes sit like this, cross your legs like this, use this fork, don't do this, curtsy then, wear this kind of hat. It doesn't happen, so I needed to learn a lot. Which, first of all, I kinda hate that she said The Princess Diaries is old because now I feel old. That movie came out in 2001, more than 20 years ago. I hate everything. But back to the point of the claim of no training. An insider has since disputed Meghan's claim, telling 9honey again, and they revealed that Meghan was given a 30-point dossier by Prince Harry's then private security, Ed Lane Fox, which included various experts who could help Meghan on various aspects of life, including the Constitution, ladies-in-waiting, fashion, public life, and other things. The claims by Meghan follow allegations that Meghan rejected Queen Elizabeth's offer to be guided by Sophie, the Countess of Wessex. Sophie is another member of the royal family that did not come from royalty herself. The book, Elizabeth: An Intimate Portrait by Giles Brandreth, who is a friend of the royal family, says, quote, "The Queen, who of course had seen it all before, understood that Harry's girl might find adjusting to royal life challenging to begin with, as she put it. To help Meghan, the Queen suggested that her daughter-in-law, Sophie Wessex, would be an ideal mentor. And the Queen even apparently said, quote, Sophie can help show you the ropes." The author continued on writing that Meghan apparently made it very clear that she did not need help as she had Harry. On top of that, the Duchess reportedly also rejected advice from Camilla, who was the Duchess of Cornwall at that time. So it seems that Meghan didn't accept the help that was offered, if it was actually offered at all, which I think it probably was. Viewers also spotted another problem with Harry and Meghan's recollection of their first meeting. Harry revealed in the first episode how he met Meghan, but it appeared to be contradictory to past versions of that story, and on top of that, fans spotted issues with the pair's new tale of his proposal as well. In a previous interview about their engagement in 2017, Harry claimed that he had proposed to the Duchess in the kitchen on a standard, typical night in their cottage, but in the new series, Harry says he proposed in a candlelit garden. At yet another point in the documentary, Harry claims he was blocked from seeing the Queen, which goes against what he told Oprah Winfrey during the 2021 interview. During that interview, Harry said, quote, "She said I have no plans for the week, why don't you come up and we'll have tea, stay the night, you and Meghan." With Meghan adding that they were on their way to Heathrow Airport and an urgent message came through saying that the Queen was busy, which was confirmed by the Queen herself, who told Harry she didn't know that she was supposed to be busy when Harry called her. Now in the second installment, Meghan has revealed why she opted for a trio of brightly colored outfits during the royal couple's farewell tour of the UK. Speaking in episode 5, Meghan said, "Until that last week in the UK, I rarely wore color and I never wanted to upstage or ruffle any feathers, so I tried to blend in. But I wore a lot of color that week. I felt, well, let's just look like a rainbow." But there are tons of photographs taken from many different royal outings over the years that prove that Meghan regularly wore many bright colors all the time. This is kind of a weird one. I don't know why anyone would lie about that. It's just bright colors. Kind of strange. There was also another point where Harry and Meghan spoke about being moved into Nottingham Cottage, a house in the grounds of Kensington Palace in London, which had previously been where Prince William and Princess Kate lived with Prince George. Speaking on this point, he said, "As far as people were concerned, we were living in a palace, but we were living in a cottage on palace grounds." For this one, I gotta say, one, you're living on the grounds of a palace, so shut up, you can't really complain about anything here. But two, the pair seemed to forget that before they moved in, this cottage was Prince William and Kate Middleton's place when they had their firstborn son before moving in October 23rd to apartment 1A in Kensington Palace. It's not like a crappy place by any stretch of the imagination, so this one just seems kind of meh. I don't really like it. A lot of these points do not look good for the couple, and it does not help their situation, but they were going to receive backlash no matter what they did or said, and some people have gone to great lengths to try and find something to be upset about. For example, another kind of ridiculous criticism of the couple also came about from the documentary. People on the internet are claiming that the setting of the documentary's interviews wasn't actually at their home, and was instead at a bigger, more costly $33 million mansion, which is currently on the market located near the Sussex residence. Internet sleuths who care way too much about these things noticed that the photos of the property on the real estate page were the same as the backgrounds in some of the documentary's scenes. Okay, so let's entertain this criticism and ask ourselves, why would a different house have been used? Well, outside of the possibility that it was actually their house, One, the couple may have wanted to come across in a more lavish manner, therefore, by showing a property that had more opulence, it would have shown that they were living comfortably. If you think that makes them fake, then that's fair, but no one in the royal family isn't. But the second point, the internet sleuths who looked up all this information kind of proved the fact that it could simply have been due to security concerns. The couple may not have wanted to disclose their exact location, as well as the contents and layout of their own home to the whole world. But if we need a third point could be, it could have totally just been a production choice made for a variety of factors that have nothing to do with Harry and Meghan. Whatever the reason is, people on social media made their position very clear that they think the couple was trying to put on a persona that did not reflect their actual lives. I will agree that it doesn't help their situation, obviously, but I don't know about that one. The thing with this story is that the people who are longtime fans of the royal family absolutely hate Meghan, and they are quick to fight any claims she makes. Never once have I heard a royal family supporter agree with anything that Meghan says. But on the other hand, people who support Meghan or just don't like the idea of the royal family do the complete opposite, believing most of what Meghan says without even questioning it. And no matter your opinion, you are bound to run into large groups of people who will fight tooth and nail to disagree with you, no matter what. And I can already see the comments now who are going to disagree with that statement itself. Some comments about the topics that I have seen are just way too upset about the whole thing, in my opinion. This guy James wrote, "Prince Harry is an absolute embarrassment to the royal family. Him and Meghan should be stripped of any titles they have. The Queen would be devastated about the lies and deceit coming from the pair of them." People's feelings are intense on this subject, but despite that, we do want to hear your well thought out and non-combative opinions, so let's start a discussion down below.
In our 10th spot, Fearful Harry. According to royal biographer Angela Levin, Harry is frightened of Meghan, which she broke down while speaking with GB News about the couple. The author issued claims of the Duke being nervous around his wife, informing GB News host Dan Wooten, "It's well known that Meghan is delightful unless you say something that she doesn't want you to say. Then she is really scary. I think he is frightened of her because of the way he looks at her. He doesn't want to say something if she wants to speak. If she wants to talk to someone before him, then he steps back." This was argued online when a former clip of the Duchess and Harry allegedly reading William's text in their Netflix docuseries Harry and Meghan went viral, with some netizens dubbing the interaction as sweet and a show of their love, while others claimed it proved Harry's discomfort around Meghan. In the video filmed shortly following their joint Oprah interview in 2021, Meghan is overheard reading a statement regarding Queen Elizabeth II before Harry shows her his phone screen. Harry seemed thrown for a loop of surprise and shaken up over the message before he told Meghan, "I wish I knew what to do." The moment ended with Meghan advising them to step out and take a breather while she hugged Harry. Before we jump into number 9, like today's Worthy Now if you predicted any of our top 10 points in this video. In our 9th spot, time apart. It's known that the spouses have been publicly inseparable since they departed from their royal duties and relocated to California in 2020. But Meghan's absence during Harry's promotions for Spare left many questioning if their relationship was as strong as it seemed. Meghan remained impartially silent while Harry was popping up on a multitude of televised interviews to promote his memoir. Despite Meghan being expected to be next to him as usual, she instead took a back seat and gave Harry full spotlight attention. Apparently, the Duchess didn't want to pull the focus from her husband, so she supported him from afar. According to Heat magazine though, Meghan actually decided not to attend because she desired to be seen as a person in her own right, and it annoys her that she's labeled clingy. She reportedly was also interested in expanding her social circle and had a list of people she hoped to reconnect with, feeling as if there was no need for her husband to be a part of that. However, Harry was allegedly not on the same page with his wife's idea, reportedly feeling out of sorts. The publication further noted how Harry didn't nearly share the same amount of American friends compared to Meghan, so it would be a drastic change for him to suddenly have to be apart from her after they've been such a strong unit over the years. This change was considered big for the prince in terms of following Meghan's advice, but added how it would do them both good to spread their wings a little. The magazine's claims came fresh off more predictions of the couple divorcing. However, these claims are an old tale for the Sussexes as they have yet to be proven true. In our 8th spot, King Charles's interference. A royal insider made claims that King Charles III may soon be offering Meghan a $50 million divorce settlement as the monarch blames Meghan for his son's explosive allegations against the royal family. From the same source, Charles is quote, willing to do anything to save his child. According to a high-level courtier Courtier cited in the Global magazine, Charles blames Meghan for initiating Harry's damaging allegations against the British royal family. The Courtier claims Charles is willing to forgive Harry for the horrifying damage he's inflicted on the royal family in the last 3 years. According to the Duke, Charles said he was already having to pay a lot for him, his older brother Prince William, and his wife Kate Middleton. However, Harry said he soon realized his father was not concerned about money and suggested he was jealous of Meghan's growing popularity. In our 7th spot, rule breaking. Though there's a lot Harry is equally to blame for in this category, a topic that constantly surrounds Meghan is her excessive attitude towards breaking the rules. According to the public and online discourses, where Kate serves as a sophisticated, classy woman, Meghan serves as the opposite. Kate has been detailed as someone who sticks to the royal code, like dressing and mannerisms to a T, whereas Meghan has been known to prioritize comfort and not needing to be perfect for the public. Meghan also, without a doubt, is more sure of putting her foot down and saying no as opposed to Kate, which is highly frowned upon in the royal world, I guess. One example of this pulled from reports is that Meghan often sits with her legs crossed over her knees, which apparently is a huge no for someone involved with the royal family. Because, similar to the Queen, Princess Diana, and Kate herself, Meghan was meant to sit with her legs and her knees kept close together while she was tied to her royal duties. In our 6th spot, family history. Meghan has been reported to be an American sweetheart mainly due to her long family history. Again with Kate, because reports just love to compare, William's wife has a lengthy history of wealth, perseverance, and business. However, Meghan's family history is notably a lot different. Because of this, the public questions Meghan's intentions of marrying Harry. As per Time magazine, Meghan's mom's neighborhood does not meet the royal standards due to the fact it's known for its violence, gangs, and trouble. Numerous tragic events and crimes have taken place fairly close to Meghan's old home, allowing for newspapers and tabloids to create racially motivated comments about Meghan that upset Harry. At one point, Meghan's future sister-in-law, Darlene Blount, was even detained for harming Meghan's brother in Oregon on New Year's Eve. In our 5th spot, fan of publicity. Meghan is used to the publicity of her current lifestyle because she was an actress beforehand. So naturally, she adores social media and general publicity. And she was also someone who very much had it. Meghan is a huge fan of selfies too because it's a large part of being in the showbiz industry. But this is the exact opposite when it comes to the royals, as seen in her social media accounts being revoked upon Meghan's marriage to the prince. Of course, now that they've left, Meghan is free to do and use whatever she pleases. However, prior, everything needed to remain discreet and private regarding their relationships and every small detail concerning the royal family. Meghan has repeatedly broken that rule of privacy though. She even fully addressed and spoke about her relationship publicly for her Vanity Fair feature. Many speculated that the interview was just another barrier that would weaken the foundation of their relationship. In our 4th spot, previous marriage. Kate still holds the consideration of being the oldest bride in royal wedding history, outside of Camilla, who was pushing 60 years of age when she married Charles as the second wife after Diana. Reports noted that Camilla was a divorcee back then though. When Meghan and Harry's wedding date was set to occur in May 2018, Meghan was obviously not given the oldest bride title because her situation was similar to that of Camilla's, as someone who's been formally divorced going into the royal family. Back in 2014, Meghan tied the knot with American music producer Trevor Engelson. Although it shouldn't have served as a problem, royal fans were torn to shreds over the fact that their once beloved prince was giving his hand to a divorcee. Luckily, Meghan still sits in the same boat as the Queen consort, so it makes her and Harry's marriage a bit more acceptable in the eyes of some. In our 3rd spot, different tastes. Reeling back a bit from the previous point, Kate is a lover of sophisticated fashion pieces. She's always spotted dressed to the nines, and it's usually right on par with the royal dress code. She furthermore serves as a British fashion icon, but has also influenced people worldwide to adore her prominent pieces. In short, Kate dressed just as any royal woman should. Obviously, Meghan is not exactly a royal dress code icon. Her American side is true to her clothing pieces, opting for comfy clothes that scream classy simply because she's Meghan Markle and she makes it work. Meghan's never strayed from her casual style of ripped jeans, flowy blouses, and ballerina flats. Though there's never been anything wrong with her fashion while she and Harry were engaged, she was still a part of the royal family, which means she could have taken a day or two off from her everyday look to maintain a much more royal vibe. In our 2nd spot, American status status and separate religions. Despite the UK's former monarch, Queen Elizabeth, not having seen any real issue with the mixed race of Harry and Meghan's children, the British tabloids and public sensationalized the hell out of the fact that Meghan is American. She was birthed and raised in California and was actually the first American to become officially engaged with a royal family member, later going on to dedicate her life to Harry. However, the former actress is not the first American to ever marry a member of the royal fam. Still, many assumed Meghan would be incompetent in following the culture of the royals because she came from a much different one. Apparently, she could have faced denial to vote in the US as per the political royal family rule. And not only does her citizenship and culture still apparently affect her and Harry, but so does her religion. Though I don't really know why, Meghan's race and culture are just as important to royal family supporters as her religion is. According to UK-based tabloids, websites, and news outlets, Meghan is a Catholic, and that for some reason is an issue that could eventually make their relationship crumble. Apparently, this makes their relationship fragile and even serves as a huge conflict for the royal family. Even more, there are still others who believe Meghan's beliefs will cause hindrance on the couple's happiness over time. In our first spot, Diana's disapproval. According to The Richest, Diana would adamantly disapprove of Meghan being Harry's wife. Well, according to the articles The Richest cited for their information. For those of you who believe in the afterlife, alternative energy healer Simone Simmons received the opportunity to communicate with Princess Diana spiritually just to seek her opinion on Meghan while she was merely Harry's fiancée. Resultantly, Simone stated that Meghan should be worried. As per the self-proclaimed psychic and dear friend of Diana, Simone was reportedly able to speak with the former royal as if she were still alive. They talked about endless topics, including her son's preference for partners. Simone added that Diane adores Kate because she holds so much beauty and grace, but Meghan didn't receive the same compliment as per the article. Again, in the words of Simone, the psychic's connection with the late princess concluded with the idea that Meghan is not the ideal woman for Harry after all. In our 10th spot, Coronation no-go. This just in, Prince Harry will be in attendance for the King's coronation service in London on May 6th, but without his right-hand gal. Buckingham Palace officially confirmed the dramatic news in an earlier statement, deeming it a pleasure to welcome the Duke of Sussex's presence at Westminster Abbey next month. The Duchess, on the other hand, will remain at their Californian residence alongside her and Harry's 1-year-old daughter Lilibet and their son Archie, whose 4th birthday is dated the same day of the ceremony. The spouse's friend, Ahmed Scooby, noted how Archie's birthday was a major factor in their decision and expects Harry's UK trip to be brief, meaning he'll likely only show up for the ceremony spread over a few hours. The palace's announcement was released merely 3 weeks ahead of the event, with a royal observer informing Mail Online, Charles will be pleased. The rest will be relieved that Meghan won't be there. It would have been particularly uncomfortable for Kate. Initially, Harry and Meghan delayed their decision to attend even though the RSVP date on April 3rd passed. Apparently, the uncertainty over whether the couple would fly out left royal officials without confirmed final arrangements, like seating plans, security, and transport. Harry, who formerly bared all of his and Meghan's troubles during his time with the royals through several releases, will officially witness his father and stepmother being crowned in the next 3 weeks. This most recent news ended months of speculation about the exiled royals' appearances, but it seems Meghan is already being accused of snubbing the monarch and the rest of the royals. Before we jump into number 9, like today's video to support our small channel. In our 9th spot, co-signing Spare. When her husband released his scorchingly telling memoir, Spare, Meghan may not have been physically present to promote it, but she was definitely co-signing all the juicy information featured in it. We know this mostly because Meghan has always been super on board with revealing all of the royal family's dark secrets alongside Harry, as early as when they left the palace and royal duties behind. The events broken down in the tell-all quite literally exposed the royals for a multitude of things, including alleged physical violence and words supposedly spewed in a negative sense about the couple. And then there's simply the reason of why not. If the events in the book are true, and I was personally subjected to that kind of treatment for years, you'd bet I'd be co-signing my husband's messy memoir too. In our 8th spot, the Netflix Spotify eras. Harry and Meghan's most recent Netflix to Spotify eras have quite literally divided the royal family, while also tainting the reputation the family has tried so hard to maintain. Between podcasts and documentary series, Meghan and Harry have embarked on a mission to ruin the royals because of the treatment they allegedly endured during their time together on duty. Harry even claimed claimed he was subjected to rather cruel behavior long before he married Meghan and brought her into their former family titles. They've gone on what many have dubbed the expose tour to pretty much prove their initial points, and while many have berated them for this, the couple saw tons of praise from royal fans and supporters who have stuck by their sides even after their exit. In our 7th spot, leaving Harry's inner circle. In the midst of separation rumors and her supposed lack of support for Harry's spare promotions, Meghan was also reportedly looking to publicly detach herself from her husband, including expanding her social circle. According to the magazine which published the OG claims, Meghan formulated a list of people she desired to reconnect with and wrote Harry out of the rumored events. And apparently Harry was not happy with his wife's decision, as the report stated he was allegedly feeling out of sorts over it. The publication further noted Harry's American friends being considerably smaller in comparison to Meghan's, so it would be a major change for him to separate from Meghan after they maintained such a unified front over time. The shift was considered huge for Harry because he was supposedly forced to follow Meghan's advice, but he also added how much good they'd get from spreading their wings a little. In our 6th spot, Harry's puppeteer. As per royal experts and Prince Harry's biographer, Angela Levin, Harry follows Meghan in fear of being cut off from his wife. The claims from Angela also included the Duchess being dubbed very frightening to live with, and how Meghan needed to maintain a thick skin if she desired to become a politician. But let's break this down a bit more though. A report previously stated Harry did not want to suffer the same fate his wife's ex-best friend, Jessica Mulroney, saw. Meghan reportedly broke off her friendship with Jessica due to a white privilege scandal. According to sources, the Canadian fashion designer and stylist felt slighted by Meghan. And well, Harry, he's known to be fiercely loyal to Meghan. The whole world understands this, so when Angela made a GB News appearance and informed Dan Wooten that Harry supposedly fears being the next person Meghan cuts out of her life, people naturally believed her. Meghan's need for thick skin, according to Angela, is due to years-long rumors of Meghan setting her sights on the Oval Office. UK investigative reporter and journalist Tom Bauer once spoke on this during a Mail Plus Confidential podcast back in 2022. The author also formally shared a piece of advice for Meghan while echoing Angela's sentiment. In his opinion, Meghan stood a good chance of accomplishing her alleged political ambitions. In our 5th spot, snubbing the monarch. Royal experts assume Meghan may be risking closing a door she can't quite open again when it comes to the royal family. Apparently this quote irreversible blow is because of Meghan's decision to miss the king's coronation. According to the report centered around royal experts' opinions, Harry would have likely been iced out by his family if he attended with Meghan. But in a backwards way, Meghan's lack of attendance was warned to cause a fatal rift within the firm. You know, because her son isn't going to be turning 4 on the same day as the historic celebration or anything. Reports detailed Harry's ended relationship with the firm prior because his revelations were done with intent from the start. GB News was informed by Royal Public Relations Specialist Edward Coram James that in a universe in which the damage already caused by the rift is still recoverable from, at least in part, a no-show would be fatal, both in the public perception as well as within the family itself. It risks drawing out the conflict over the long term. Edward added how Meghan's refusal to join the festivities would draw as much, if not more, media attention. In our 4th spot, no royal return. King Charles III and Meghan once shared a tight-knit bond, with the former giving her an endearing nickname to what they are now, pretty much nothing but in-laws. Even though tensions have remained present at the head of Meghan and Harry's royal relations, the couple once held sweet relationships with their UK counterparts. So of course, Meghan built a rather strong one with Charles. Then the couple disclosed intimate insight into their lives behind the palace's walls, and alongside several allegations, the pair claimed the family planted and leaked stories as a way to ruin their public image. This strained their ties within the family, given everything. However, even with the controversial secrets, we also saw a painted picture that showed a much more unified family that was all cool. In fact, on several occasions, Meghan penned about just how close she was with Charles, which may play into his reported disappointment over her absence for his upcoming coronation. In January 2020, the Duke and Duchess stepped down from their titles and relocated overseas. And well, we all know what happened in the events that followed. After the confirmation that Meghan will not be in attendance during the UK celebration next month, commentary has spun into what lies next for Meghan. Express.co.uk's royal editor Emily Ferguson once said, "Meghan's absence speaks volumes. Her unwillingness to sit through the 2-hour service and support her in-laws on one of the most important days of their lives marks the final point in her royal journey, and there's no way back from here." In our 3rd spot, ignoring protocol. Remember when Meghan was accused of not bowing to the Queen? You know, that debate that swept social media on whether or not she paid her respect to the late monarch? Yeah, well, it was a blink and you might miss the proof moment. Being quite literally freshly married into the royal family, Meghan was expected to curtsy to those of higher power than her in the kingdom. But there were tons of speculations from viewers who watched the then royal wedding who questioned questioned if she bent her knee to the former Her Majesty. Most popped off on Twitter in regard to Meghan's alleged etiquette faux pas. Royal biographer Ingrid Seward once mentioned how the bride and prince were requested to curtsy and bow to Elizabeth following the ceremony's national anthem portion. However, people claim they didn't see it occur. In the end, it was actually a faulty camera angle that panned out to a bird's eye view, proving the gesture was just difficult to spot. Since then, Meghan has always been captured doing her diligence to the Queen, specifically for the very first time during a 2017 Christmas Day service in Norfolk. In our second spot, family turned against her. Meghan's own sister formally betrayed her in the media, and if you don't believe me, Samantha Markle once said this herself. I worked in media most of my life and in broadcasting, so because my sister is suddenly royal isn't grounds for me to stop doing all of that. Let's face it, we all have to survive. Money makes the world go round, so if you want to call that cashing in, that's fine. But I think no one in the media would refuse a paycheck for talking about a royal, and as a family, we're not subjected to royal protocol. Why would I stop living because we have a family issue going on? Basically, she stated she didn't regret blasting the royals and her sister's former life. Big yikes. And in our first spot, the pregnancy debacle. Lastly, we have the most dramatic highlights of everything Meghan was criticized for while pregnant, and trust me, it was a lot. Starting in January 2019 and continuing until she was to term, Meghan couldn't breathe in the media without being endlessly grilled for cradling her pregnant belly, and all the ways and how often she did it. It was vile overall, and worse was something spewing from women alongside men. April of that same year saw piled on hate of claims Meghan was faking her pregnancy and that she and Harry were using a surrogate to hide the whole alleged ordeal from the public. Famous women are constantly subjected to the world's personal comments and opinions on their bodies, and Meghan's case was no different when she was blasted for reportedly using her prosthetic belly. The uproar online birthed hashtags including #moonbump and #Megxit to gain traction for the random unproven theory. April 2019 also saw royal reporters and British tabloids turning on the former royals. When the couple's official Instagram account @SuccessRoyal dropped the announcement that they were trading out tradition to hold a more private royal birth, the UK press was hot on their tails by demanding their rights to witness a spouse's newborn. The Sun specifically publicized a letter critiquing the then expecting parents, including, "The public has a right to know about the lives of those largely funded by their taxes. You can accept that or be private citizens." In our 10th spot, Caddy Coronation. Despite their initial invitation, a few lower-end reporters have claimed the royals don't actually want the exiled couple to attend. However, what all big celebrity news outlets are indicating at the moment is that Meghan and Harry's children are supposedly not invited. According to the Daily Beast, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are currently not on the guest list with their parents, first reported by The Telegraph. As per the article, the spouses have had no information about whether the children have been included in the plans surrounding the royal event, and friends of Harry and Meghan claim Archie and Lilibet's inclusion will be discussed further if and when the couple confirm their own attendance. In other related news, apparently the royals are terrified to speak with the prince and his wife at the coronation. With the event mere weeks away and no official confirmation that the former royals will be attending, the current royals seem to be spiraling like usual about running into the Sussex if they decide to show up. Royal commentator Louise Roberts informed Sky News Australia via The Sun, "The problem is that anyone who could be close to them, for example William and Kate, will not tell them anything. Everyone's terrified. Everything's for sale. Every indiscretion or every side comment could be magnified for an American audience in order to get them a profit." This comes high on the news of Meghan and Harry's negotiations over being stationed on the Buckingham Palace balcony with the rest of the royal family despite their initial bow out. Before we jump into number 9, subscribe if you'd like to see more royal family videos on Where Are They Now. In our 9th spot, ditching the royals. Now you may think this point is the one that's the most obvious, and you would be right. Everyone knows Harry and Meghan removed themselves from the life and responsibilities of being a royal some time ago. But Harry has made sure to continuously note the transition was never easy for him. When he recently spoke with trauma expert Gabor Mati, Harry said he lost a lot by breaking out of the only life he was familiar with. However, it hasn't been all bad for him. Despite him telling Gabor the therapy allowed him to maintain more distance from his family, and he struggled and failed to get them to do the same, he also noted how worth it was for him to break the cycle and not deal with the generational trauma that would have cursed his kids from his own childhood upbringing. Yet, most recently, Harry and Meghan unilaterally declared their daughter Lilibet a princess, revealed in a Wednesday morning announcement regarding her christening. Lilibet is a born princess, as her parents have stated, but the palace does not seem to want to recognize her new handle, which obviously kicks up another confrontation ahead of the coronation. Legally, Meghan and Harry's kids are entitled to be referred to by their royal titles based on the royal rule of the grandchildren of monarchs being rightfully titled as such. However, the palace has actively refused to show this on its official channel and seemingly dragged out how the Sussex kids would be styled. Many speculated the royals' lack of acknowledging Archie and Lilibet as prince and princess were due to the couple's many fallouts with the family. But Meg and Harry seem to have lost their patience over this, as they have now left it up to the palace to explicitly choose to deny their children's titles or not. In our 8th spot, royal gossipers. Both Meghan and Harry have done their fair share of royal gossip in their time, including in 2018 when Meghan claimed Kate made her cry after an initial report blamed Meghan for doing so to Kate oppositely. Meghan later refuted these claims surrounding the bridesmaids' gowns during her old Oprah interview. However, royal biographer Tom Bower backed up Kate in his book Revenge by revealing Meghan did in fact make Kate cry, even after assuring the public she didn't. Meghan's comparison of Charlotte to Kate's friend's daughter surely upset Kate to the point of tears, which obviously landed another royal gossip story at the hands of Meghan. Then there's Harry, who quite literally never stops opening up about his and his family's never-ending tiffs, like his and his father's visibly icy relationship and how he and William are always at each other's throats. This also includes the time Harry exposed his brother for allegedly scraping his back with a dog bowl after they physically fought over then recent drama. In our 7th spot, attacking the royals. Kind of reeling off the last point, Meghan and Harry have been known to supposedly throw verbal attacks at the royals too, even more than I've already discussed. We spoke a bit before about the dog bowl incident from Harry's messy tell-all spare, but that wasn't the only time he exposed rifts between himself and the royal family in his memoir. He also claimed the reason why he titled his book as such is that his father allegedly told his mother that he received an heir and a spare, a reference to his older brother William being first in line to take the throne. But this tell-all has reportedly backfired on Harry, as it garnered a lot more negative public attention and exile from the UK than it did support and praise. In our 6th spot, liars. According to not only the royal family, but the royal family's supporters, Harry and Meghan are both massive liars. As per the Monarchs & Co., Kate and the royals once called Meghan out for supposedly lying about their fallout over Charlotte's dress. But even more, William also previously stated that a lot of Harry's stories are supposedly fabricated. In fact, Meghan and Harry have been called liars over the smallest of things, including the detailed events surrounding their engagement. Harry's also made more public claims that William briefed the press against him, that his messages to Charles were leaked by the institution, and that he believed Meghan miscarried due to their former male legal battle. These were all dubbed as lies according to royal experts as well. In our 5th spot, telling too much. The notably famous talk show host Oprah held a formerly explosive March 2021 interview with the ex-royals. In it, Meghan and Harry go down a list of things I surely do not have the time to deep dive into, but also included Meghan sharing her experiences of lack of support during times she struggled with her mental health, and Archie's denial of protection and a royal title. During a recent CBS Mornings appearance with her longtime pal Gayle King, TV icon Oprah gave a wise response to the questions about her thoughts on Harry and Meghan's invite. I think they should do what they feel is best for them and their family. That's what the bottom line comes down to. What do you feel like is the best thing for you? On top of their Oprah interview, Harry even once penned the couple's most intimate details, including a spicy night with Meghan during a secret hotel rendezvous, in which Harry admitted he was almost caught red-handed after a hotel staff brought them room service the following morning. And if that doesn't tell you we may be getting too many personal peeks into their lives, I don't know what will. In our 4th spot, drama everywhere they go. Fans believe this couple carries drama just about everywhere. Not to mention, Meghan apparently once caused a stir, which royal fans deemed dramatic, after she revealed she wanted to previously end her own life. She relayed this information to Harry when they were about to walk out to do a charity event for the royal family, in which Harry later opened up about Meghan's dark thoughts and how he was only able to briefly cuddle her because they had to save face for the event they'd be photographed at seconds later. In our 3rd spot, bad reputations. Tom Bowers most recently deemed Harry and Meghan Hollywood nobodies. Since this, the spouses will apparently suffer far different treatment as opposed to the royals at the upcoming coronation. This includes seating plans where they will likely face the cold shoulder as per a royal family source. The family friends stated to the Daily Mail, most likely on behalf of the royals, they will be given the cold shoulder by very many relatives. One said to me, I hope they'll be seated in Iceland. Many of the family just want nothing more to do with them. If they have to see them at the coronation, then so be it, but they do not want to to socialize with them. Not to mention, other notable misses Harry and Meghan will have to face are being excluded from the royal ceremonial outfits, not having a place on the balcony, and instead being a part of the other non-working royals crew, and Harry not being included in the process of kneeling for his father as the new king. In our second spot, disobeying royal rules. Meghan made two big fashion faux pas in the form of breaking royal protocol at the British Fashion Awards 2018 ceremony. For one, her nails were painted burgundy, as opposed to the sheer, near pearl pink polish Queen Elizabeth was wearing for over 3 decades. According to the brand site, this color was deemed by the monarch as the only color Her Majesty would wear. Secondly, Meghan closed her own door. Without Harry on her arm, Meghan displayed a small act of independence when she shut her own car door. I know, somebody roll up the handcuffs please? Because according to Twitter, this act was the most jaw-dropping, earth-shattering moment frowned upon by a royal on duty. Megs broke a couple of other royal rules outside of the fashion event too, like publicly sharing her political opinions, wearing a sleeveless dress to her Buckingham Palace balcony debut, and ignoring their pantyhose tradition under dresses and skirts. In our first spot, causing tension. It's been pretty standardized that the royals have hated Meghan from the get-go, and how they've secretly blamed Harry for all the mess which led to now. However, whichever way you spin it, Harry and Meghan have been divided from the royal family for almost ages now. If you're more on the outskirts, you might even be part of the argument that blames the royals' hostility towards Meghan from the moment she was introduced to her future in-laws, and how the public ran with that revelation to add to the hate. According to another royal expert, Penny Jr., the royals reduced Meghan to not being as charming as she seemed while she was on TV, and added how the royals were not the only ones appalled by Meghan's quote show-busy approach to her new life as a royal family member. Given they're the most famous bloodline in the world, the Oprah Winfrey interview was indicated as the nail in the coffin that pretty much ended Meghan's brief relationship with her in-laws. In our 10th spot, a Hollywood nobody. Royal expert Tom Bowers spoke with GB News on Monday to suggest how the Duke and Duchess not showing up at any Oscar party events proved their influence in Hollywood is disappearing. On television, Tom stated, "They really are nobodies in Hollywood." An example of the former would be the Californian couple's notable absence from Sir Elton John's AIDS Foundation's 31st Annual Academy Awards viewing party, an event in which a large number of A-listers were seen celebrating. The topic of Sir Elton can become controversial because of how he has remained a constant support in Harry's life, including the time he performed at Harry and Meghan's 2018 wedding in Windsor. The famed musician was furthermore a close friend of Harry's late mother, Princess Diana, and carried out that great bond with the Duke after Diana passed in 1997. In August 2019, the Sussexes took a trip to visit Sir Elton and David in their €15 million home during the couple's French Riviera holiday trip. This vacation happened shortly after Meghan and Harry returned from the UK to Ibiza on a private jet, following a 6-night getaway on the Spanish island to celebrate Meghan's 38th birthday. In a statement released later on, Elton defended his friend by admitting he paid for the exclusive plane. Detailed to be a rock to the former royals, Elton made sure to speak up after the backlash that came from the couple's use of 4 private jets in 11 days back in 2019, referring to Diana as one of his dearest friends whose family he felt a profound sense of obligation to protect. Before we jump into number 9, subscribe to Where Are They Now for more up-to-date celebrity news. In our 9th spot, celebrity peers want zero association. Around the time of September 2022, there was a slew of famous faces who apparently refused to be associated with Meghan, and it wasn't long before royal experts were hot on Meghan's tail with warnings of the growing amount of dislike she seemed to be amassing on a broad global scale. These same advisors voiced concerns about a potential exile at the time. These claims were made specifically by Richard Eden, one of the Daily Mail's diary editors, who discussed this in a Mail Plus interview with Palace Confidential. In the sit-down, he relayed, "We didn't hear much about Serena, it was all about Meghan. It was very much, that's enough about me, what do you think of me?" Instead of Serena making headlines, all the headlines have been about Meghan's stories and the things she disclosed during this podcast. It was a missed opportunity, certainly for Serena, given that I'm not sure famous people will be queuing up to go on because they'll know it's actually all about the supposed interviewer. In our 8th spot, planned place in Harry's life. Many devoted royal fans and followers have been super adamant about their suspicions of Meghan cleverly crafting up a plot to rank high in fame and straight into Harry's heart. While many have classed her as sneaky for supposedly weaseling her wants in life out of the Duke, others commended Meghan for her hard work at a dream millions of modern-day women are also trying to achieve. However, the question begs to differ. Is Meghan an opportunist? Maybe. But did she play her cards right right even if she's not, without a doubt. Yet she did this without the dramatically conniving way that trolls would like everyone to think. She simply chased her dreams in search of her happy ending and impressively managed to become one of the world's most famous women in the process. Now, I don't know for sure about y'all, but that sounds like a lot of aspiring celebrities' dreams to me. In our 7th spot, Truth of Lies. We know Oprah Winfrey is the queen of chit-chat, as she's given the world some of the most iconic interviews and stories of our generation. So naturally, royal fans were in absolute shambles when it was revealed the couple was doing a tell-all. And as much flack as Meghan has caught over this, it does make sense that she was resolute in disclosing her former royal rumbles. From that point, Meghan had to basically disappear from the public eye, get rid of her social media accounts, follow every one of their many rules, and keep absolutely quiet while the whole world continued to discuss her. Therefore, when Meghan quit being a royal, she was surely entitled to tell her side of events and defend the never-ending backlash, right? Her truth was deemed lies, but she wasn't exactly floating through Hollywood bad-mouthing the royals, showing off her baby to paparazzi, or posting controversial tweets. Even more, she remained pretty dignified throughout the whole process. As it's been noted, Meghan could have done far more damage if she felt like it. In our 6th spot, banking off her life. Word of Meghan banking off her life has been a constant hot topic during her time in Hollywood, especially regarding all of her and Harry's more recent showbiz deals with Spotify and Netflix. However, it can be argued that Meghan is simply doing what she loves and should be allowed to do so. Meghan's been called nothing short of fame-hungry, with resentful people spreading false news about her supposedly plotting her Hollywood return all along. But Prince Harry nipped that one in the butt when he informed Oprah that their business deals happened last minute because of their financial situation, insisting the Netflixes and Spotifys of it all was never part of the plan. Even more, Meghan already had a prior presence in Hollywood through a handful of advertisements, minor roles, and her brief time as a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal. This eventually landed her a major role in a hit TV series, which shows she's dedicated to her craft and has a true passion for being in the industry above all. So with everything from her past with the royal family, Meghan must have been at least a little bit relieved to dip her toes back into the public she's most familiar with. Some Meghan supporters even argued that the couple has remained sans rom-coms and reality shows, and that their content is overall motivational and raises awareness for issues like mental health. In our 5th spot, didn't try hard enough with the royals. It's been argued time and time again by the masses that Meghan never put any effort into her life as a royal. However, the same sentiment can be reversed. In fact, I think sometimes Meghan tried too hard to fit into the royal family's way of living. Of course, the life of a higher power is no easy feat, and honestly, there probably aren't many people who could successfully put themselves in that position to thrive. It's been reported how their policies, procedures, and relentless rules are enough to push anyone to the brink of insanity. So it's proper to note how Meghan remained on the entire time she was a royal family member, never once dropping the ball. She had no public meltdowns or outbursts even, which could show that she never raised any personal drama, even in her lowest times, but rather the drama was truly crowding in from the public's opinion of her. In our 4th spot, took Harry from his royal duties. People will naysay about this topic all day, but the truth of the matter is that Harry himself repeatedly stated he chose to walk away from the royals and Meghan had nothing to do with it. Still, according to reports and the general public, Meghan is a master manipulator and is the reason why she and Harry are still together now. However, some have stated Meghan should not be blamed for Meghanix because Harry is a grown man who should be held accountable for his own decisions and actions. Harry even admitted his desire to leave the royal family as early as his early 20s. During a Dax Shepard episode for his Armchair Expert podcast, Harry stated his quick realization of not wanting to be associated with the royals while reaching adulthood. Quote, "It was a case of, I don't want this job, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be doing this. Look what it did to my mom." In our 3rd spot, attention-seeking backlash. If you side with the general public, Meghan's confession of once wanting to end her life was another manipulation tactic for attention, but any other empathetic human could tell you it was more of a cry for help. During her Oprah chit-chat during promotion for the Duke's then newest Apple TV docuseries, The Me You Can't See, Harry admitted that moments prior to them taking photos at a charity event, Meghan revealed her dark, troubled thoughts to him. "Because of the system we were in and the responsibilities and duties we had a quick, cuddle. And then we had to go to the Royal Albert Hall for a charity event and step out into a wall of cameras and pretend as though everything was okay, Harry stated on the Manor. In our second spot, too much family drama. Also, per the public, Meghan can't stay out of drama, and this ties into not only her tension with the royal family, but also issues with her own. Similar to Harry's relationship with King Charles III, Meghan and her father, Thomas Markle, have shared their own back and forth experiences, even prior to Meghan's fame. According to Meghan's childhood sweetheart, Joshua Silverstein, her and Thomas's relationship has been consistently complicated. He explained, "I did know Meghan's relationship with her dad was complicated, and I understood that as most teenage to parent relationships are. Being there when Meghan's parents were divorced at that time, it's hard raising her kids without the secondary parent. It's all challenging." Putting aside feuding and overall family history, it wouldn't have made sense that Meghan suddenly became publicly estranged from her dad so quickly before her wedding for the entire world to witness. It had to have been years of build-up, and in retrospect, most families would miserably fail this kind of overnight global spotlight, revealing their woeful past as such. In our first spot, problematic pregnancy. A lot of Meghan's heighted hate came at what was supposed to be one of the most joyous life occasions. While she was heavily pregnant and set to give birth a few weeks later, online users were targeting her for just about everything under the sun. The way she looked, how she spoke, what she was negatively trending for, damn near down to how she breathed. It was all very much insane. Despite that time meaning to be a happy one for Meghan, she was probably no doubt in just as much emotional and mental pain as she was in physical. And the argument still stands that no woman deserves to be distressed or depressed right before welcoming new life into the world.